Okay, so we're about to start framing, and I thought we should go ahead and take another tongue weight reading before we start the real framing. I mean, at least vertical. Of course, we've got the joist, the insulation, and subfloor. So let's see what we got. Let's lower this down. All right, what do we got? Gosh, looks like about 300 pounds. See, that's kind of getting scary. I was hoping to be at 750, 800 maximum, and we're already at 300. So this is going to be very interesting as we move along. I'm about to start the framing, but I wanted to talk about a few things before I do, having to do with the design. That 300-pound tongue weighting concerns me, and I've got even bigger problems because, as you can see, here's the double axle, here are the fenders right here. I've got these doors, I've got a deck that's supposed to go right here, and of course the tongue's out here, and I added this 1 foot onto the tongue. So I'm introducing a lot of weight, and I know I've done that on, essentially on purpose, but I just don't know how much help I'm going to get when I build this in the back to counterbalance the weight. We'll just have to see. But I've tried to keep all the massing here in the middle, as you can see as well, over the axles, plus the refrigerator and everything else will be over the axles. So that's good news. The other thing I wanted to talk about is that I've got a bunch of beams that are going to be happening. I've got a beam up here, I've got a beam right there, and I've got one that has to go across the wheel well, because these fenders are not load bearing. I mean, they're not structural. So you have to go across right here with a beam to essentially span that distance. And we'll show you how we're going to do that. So here it is, this beam I was talking about that spans across the fender. A couple little short posts here, filler block here, this double LVL that measures 3.5 inches wide, which is the same width of a 2x4. Very nice. So we can continue that up. Very strong. Get the job done. So that's how we're handling over the fender framing. You can see this sill here that goes down, and then of course the bottom plate goes like that. Get that all set up here in a minute. I've just started framing, and already I've got me a carpenter bee who wants to come dig his way in. That's just great. So I was wondering if this tree right here were going to be in my way. And as it turns out, it's my friend, because I'm bracing off of it for this tall wall section here. And I know I shouldn't do that, but it's not windy today, and it's only temporary, and it helps. Alright, so it hasn't rained in weeks, maybe even a couple of months. Of course, you start framing and get yourself all opened up, and this is what you come home to. I've tried to tarp it off as best that I can, and we'll take a look at that. But just came home from working out, and now I've got an idea as to how to move forward given these circumstances. So we'll talk about that in a little while. Well, we survived the storm last night, and as you can see, I kind of patched things together with this thermoply and some plastic on the back and the tarps, trying to protect this thing during that rain. And I'll tell you, for all the speech I gave about the flooring being able to withstand 300 days of rain, that's true. But what I didn't take into account is that water might get in between these seams and get down in that cavity, which would not be good, since we've got it all sealed off with the flashing underneath and with the insulation serving as a vapor barrier. So despite the fact that the floor is great, I didn't want water to get in the seam. So I taped it off yesterday afternoon, of course covered it all with plastic and this makeshift arrangement, which actually worked out pretty good. But it led me to think that maybe I should go ahead and, instead of framing the rest of this tiny house to the front, which kind of in construction practice is what you would do, I'm going to go ahead and sheathe and roof deck the back section because it's already framed, and it'll all be closed in and watertight with the type of material I'm going to use. And then moving forward, I'll just have to tarp off the front. So I'm just going to kind of work my way from the back and get it all sealed up as I move to the front. I just think that's a smart thing to do. But we survived. Everything looks good. And it's real exciting. This thing's taking shape. I wanted to kind of give you an update as to where we were in the framing. You can see that this tall wall, the tallest wall in the house, is already constructed. You can see the LVL up top and then the second one down, and those posts that support that LVL go down on the side LVLs that spanned across the fenders. So not the simplest of designs, but obviously important and effective in carrying these loads. So as I said earlier, I think since all of this is framed, I want to go ahead and sheath this, the walls and the roof deck, and that way moving forward I don't have to try and tarp over it. It'll all be kind of taken care of. But you can kind of see some of the details. Worked out really great. Real happy. There's the rafters. I still have hurricane clips. I have tie downs. I have a lot of stuff I have to do, but I'm going to wait for it to be dried in, and we'll just call that framing punch list. But if I can get this thing dried in, that's would be my big goal right now. Then I can do anything that I want, you know, on a rainy day, even come in and do the punch out work. It's looking great. Start to see the detail of the overhang. I've added an 1.5 inch kind of ride along rafter there. That'll be for my soffit. Now this is the back of the trailer where I don't have much space. Remember, we can't go any further than 8'6", so 1.5 inches is right about there, plus my fascia board, which is going to be a 2 by 1.5 inches right there, plus my roof metal edge. So I'm right at the 8'6" with that detail. Now when I get out here to the main part, I've got an extra 3.5, but that's important to me because I've got the fold down roof and deck that need to be installed on the side. You can see the detail there. I'm about to put the sheeting up, and it's a zip system. The structural panels, waterproof. I use it for both the roof and the exterior. But I want to take spots like this that I may not be able to get to later. I'm going to put that expandable foam in there, insulation, vapor barrier, and really the most important place would be back here in the structural corner that I have here, because I can't get to that. As you can see, it's an inside corner after I sheet it, but I'm determined to get this thing sheeted, and so we're going to go ahead and squirt the foam in there and get this thing all buttoned up, ready for the sheeting, the siding. What's going on, Coty? Huh? You digging this tiny house? Yes, you are.